In 31, a bunch of carnies are kidnapped by a bunch of French people wearing wigs. They are then trapped in a massive industrial complex and battled with 4 waves of cringe threats that I can't wait to show you. They have 12 hours time to either escape or fight back, and everything is allowed. And while death is a likely outcome, the kidnappers will place bets on who will pass or who will die first. In this video, we will look at the mistakes the characters make, figure out potential alternatives, and attempt to beat the Nazi waves in the movie 31 2016. Our characters are carnival travelers, therefore called carnies, who are currently on a road trip through the US countryside. It's the year 76, so as you can imagine, all they do is smoke and tease each other. After they had passed a gas station for a refill, they continue their journey into the night, until a bunch of scarecrows scare our odd birds to death. Now, scarecrows obstructing a road is probably a bad thing. It is unlike that the wind had blown them over here and plugged them into the street, so this is either a sick joke or a sick attempt to do sick stuff to clueless people. Now obviously, you must remove the scarecrows to continue, and for that you need to leave your car, or do you? I mean, you could just drive them over, right? Look, most people would remove them manually, but why? I mean, they were put there to stop cars from passing, and that is a red flag. And even if the intent of that roadblock wasn't malicious per se, it is still suspiciously annoying. I would almost certainly just road rage ahead because I don't fancy being robbed tonight. I have been to Brazil, I know how that stuff goes down. Anyhow, as our well-behaved citizens step out of their car and attempt to remove the roadblock, something bad happens. They are attacked. Bad mistake. They're attacked by a bunch of psychos wearing clown costumes. A few of our characters are killed while all others are abducted and wake up in a strange environment. Welcome to the death game in 31. Now, being kidnapped is one of the scariest things that one can experience. Not knowing where you are, who has captured you, and why is haunting, especially having heard so much about all the effed up things going on in our world. So our characters here are blessed really, because being kidnapped with friends is, well, it could almost be fun. It's certainly more assuring than being on your own. Now, as our characters are strapped and held hostage, the game masters explain the game that is about to begin. While the death game will feature multiple waves that need to be overcome, the French, who are actually British people wearing French wigs, will place bets on each character with predetermined odds. For obvious, politically incorrect but nonetheless truthful reasons, the odds for the men's survival are by far higher, and therefore the chance of winning a large sum of money betting on them smaller. For obvious, politically correct reasons, however, we already know that no man will make it out alive. The first threat is introduced as well.
Happy Halloween, mother.
It's a Nazi Oompa Loompa with a lot of face paint and 2 daggers straight from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle universe. Honestly, having watched Charlie and the Chocolate Factory more than once, I can assure you that OG Oompa Loompas freak me out more than this guy right here. Anyway, as he attempts to display his Napoleon complex in its full glory, the introduction comes to an end and our characters each wake up on their own. The one thing you do not want to do when waking up in a death maze where a hunter aims to track you down and, well, kill you is being loud. You also don't want to be in a place where you could be attacked from any side. A messy place like this complex maze right here is also inherently bad as it's very difficult to keep an eye on your surroundings. On the other hand, it's a dream for campers and people loving to hide instead of fighting. But once you are found, you will be cornered, so that would be a bad strategy too. What I would do first is get myself something to defend myself with. Luckily, since this game is for entertainment, each of our characters wakes up with a weapon lying next by. While that is a good thing, I would not neglect the small things like screws or rocks. You see, they make excellent decoys to distract your opponents with. Having a bunch of these in your pockets ready to be thrown in the opposite directions is incredibly valuable. But let us have a look at the insane mistakes our characters make. The 2 guys of the group, both with the best odds, find each other by chance and obviously team up. That's a good thing. The bad thing is, they come by an iron door and think it would be a good idea to check it out. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to enter an iron door with menacing German imprint on and strange sounds coming out of it? That's a stupid idea. And sure enough, upon entering, they find 2 dead bodies and a bunch of souvenirs that you would find at the exit of Disney World if World War II was won by the wrong guys. While they're busy grasping the seriousness of their situation, as if that wasn't obvious back when they were kidnapped by a bunch of Nazis, we cut to Blondie, who has picked the worst hideout in a 50,000 square feet complex. The toilet. You see, unless you fancy close combat, the toilet is a pretty shitty place to hide in. You literally corner yourself. A much better choice would be an elevated surface from where you can gaze far and wide. Plus, another great aspect of being elevated is that the one who wants to get to you must climb up first, which gives you the perfect conditions for a Spartanic kickoff. Hell yeah.
This is Sparta!
And anyway, the Third Reich Napoleon is about to prey on Blondie, which freaks her out, obviously. He eventually disappears, however, and she is surprised by one of her close friends, who is now with her. But instead of telling him that the threat was just here 1 second ago, she doesn't mention anything, which leads him to being attacked from behind. That's the most unnecessary death up until now, absolutely. Also, why is she scared anyway? Her arm length combined with the bat that she's holding is literally twice the height of that guy. She could literally just poke him and keep him at distance for all eternity. Which leads me to my next point. If the goal is to survive 12 hours, then you probably don't want to kill this guy, no? I mean, gamers already know, but if all it takes for this wave to end is taking this guy out, then I wouldn't do that at all. I would just keep him alive and somehow trapped until the night comes to an end. The reason for that is that this little dude is probably the least menacing threat compared to all others that follow, since this is the first wave. Now, as our guy is severely injured, Blondie runs away, because that is the right thing to do when your friend is being attacked, obviously. She is followed and sort of trapped behind a caged door. At this point, he goes back to our friends and kills him off, which leaves us 4 out of 5 people who are still alive and 11 hours and 30 minutes left to play.
¿Dónde estás? Aquí viene el lobo.
Now, only a few minutes pass, after which Blondie is preyed upon a second time, but this time he gets to her. He's almost able to finish her off, but is caught from behind from the eldest member of our crew that has so far stayed away from any trouble. Now, even though Blondie is safe and is able to reunite with another friend, the death of that guy means that round 2 will commence soon. Now, the noise of this battle also attracted the 2 other guys, which makes the group now complete, which is great. You see, step number 1 was to find each other again, and since this has now happened, step 2 must be obviously to work together and escape. But before the next wave starts, they're led into a hall where a banquet is held for them. Obviously, all of them are starving and start to dig in, which is kind of crazy. You're literally trapped by vulgar psychopaths. How on earth could you possibly think that this food is anything but good? Once the dinner is finished, just a few moments later, they realize that they have just eaten their lost brother. Bon appétit. Anyhow, welcome to wave number 2.
I give me Psycho Head and his brother, the maniacally mental Schizo Head.
Now, the good thing is, their opponents are only 2 skinny freaks. The bad thing is, they have chainsaws. To be fair, wielding chainsaws is not an easy task. They are likely to be very slow, and having a group of 4 means that we can attack from all sides. I think taking initiative in this round is probably the best way to go. Being the prey almost always means being cornered or surprised, and we cannot afford this when facing chainsaws. The clown vanished behind a door again, and our characters move away from the banquet hall, which is a dumb mistake. If I were them, I would have stayed around here. Not only were there heavy items around like iron cast candle holders that could be thrown, but there were also chairs and other objects. Furthermore, and even more important, it's a vast open space, meaning it would be hard to be surprised from anywhere, really. And since we have already established that we outnumber them, this space looks like to be the perfect battleground to exploit our advantages on. Our characters make it to another room though, where they find another victim strapped to the floor. This unknown person begs to be let go, but all our characters are suspicious. Now, right off the bat, I would say that being in here is a terrible thing. A tight room is disadvantageous for the same reasons a big hall is advantageous. And sure enough, just a few moments pass again, and they're trapped in by several cage doors being activated. On top of that, the two clowns surprise them as well as they jump out of their hideouts and start laying down pretty much anything in front of them. This fight is a close battle, but our characters cut it short and kill them off quick. Surprisingly, the only casualties during this round are the unknown woman strapped to the floor and the two clowns. On top of that, our characters are also able to retrieve one of the chainsaws, which is comparable to an exotic drop in any other virtual game, and gives them an edge in the upcoming round, which starts immediately. This time it's another duo who look like cosplayers. If I had to guess, it's a Mr. 3 cosplay and Harley Quinn perhaps? I'm not sure. I don't think our characters really care about this right now, so I assume if they stick together, this fight should not be an issue. And it looks like our characters have finally understood their assignment. They purposely lure the enemies into a trap and attack them from behind. For a bunch of travelers with no combat experience, they have learned pretty quickly. I guess that is human adaptiveness in its full glory. During this fight, our two men are nonetheless seriously injured. Only by Blondie taking the enemy girl hostage, they can turn the tables. And here comes the most badass scene in this whole movie, okay? Blondie does not give a flying f***. While her friends hesitate to finish them off, she casually takes out the girl as if she has never done anything else. She doesn't even blink. This girl has started out by hiding herself in a toilet and has now become a cold-blooded killer. If I was there, I would stick with that chick 100%. Now, one of the guys is wiped out during this wave, unfortunately, which leaves us only 3 people remaining. The Brits orchestrating these events are perplexed at this point as well. They did not expect them to fight back so successfully, so their last hope is the Joker, who by the way does not only look like Trevor from GTA 5, but is also effed up like Trevor from GTA 5.
I'm not crazy, I'm in control. I'm not crazy, I'm in control. I'm not crazy, I'm in control.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Well, while he enters the battleground and puts on his makeup, our 3 last remaining characters dream about all the nice things they will never get to experience again. Essentially, they have already given up at this point, and we can't really blame them, can we? One day you're on a fun road trip with friends, and the next you are trapped by sick people watching you fight against a bunch of fascists. Just before the final round starts, we cut to 2 of our characters taking a break from everything. They suddenly realize that Blondie has taken off by herself, which obviously is the dumbest thing you could possibly do at this stage, especially after having survived 3 increasingly hostile rounds already. They rush back and try to find her, but at the same time Trevor is on the lookout for them as well. And as you can imagine, it doesn't take longer than a few minutes and our elderly woman is preyed upon from behind. You see, the worst thing to do in any of these waves is splitting up. Every time these characters were away from each other, somebody died. Now while she's taken out, the 2 others find each other instead. They eventually find her corpse pinned to some wood and are surprised by Trevor giving them a speech. There is one more thing being added to this wave. The doors to the outside world have been opened, meaning they are now able to leave the premises if they can. Both of them stick together and try to find a way out, but the psycho killer is right behind them. They seemingly find an exit leading underground, but only one of them can go. Our guy here sacrifices himself and takes on the task, and fair enough, right? I mean, as Blondie takes a journey downward, he closes the exit and faces off Trevor.
Get the over here, kid! You trying to fight me or me?
Being injured as he is, he has the least chance of making it out alive, so I think that's a fair pick. The fight is a quick one though. In fact, it's not even a fight. The killer just storms at him and slices him open in a second. On the other hand, Blondie has almost escaped. In fact, she's able to leave the battleground successfully, where the sun once again hits her face. She wanders around until she finds an empty shack nearby, and thinking it is a good idea to enter, she does so only to realize that this wasn't the best idea. In fact, the only right thing for her to do after getting out was to gain as much distance to this place as possible, as quickly as possible. Now though, not only has she cornered herself one more time, but she's also found by the killer.
Smoke in times of rest is a great companion to the solitary soldier.
He almost wipes her out as well, only to be held back in the last moment as the game has come to an end. She, as the first person ever, has won and survived this horrific night. It's not explained what she won, we don't really know. And it doesn't really matter because there is one cliffhanger scene at the very end of this movie which is pretty good actually. So here's the last scene where she faces him off one last time somewhere on a lonely street. It's not shown what will happen afterwards, but it's nonetheless a pretty nice cliffhanger that challenges your, I guess, imagination. Because Blondie has turned into a badass all the way, right? So there's a good chance she could actually win this one-on-one. What do you think? Would she be able to beat Trevor in this last showdown? Let me know. And by the way, what would you do if you ended up trapped like that and had to fight alongside your friends for survival? Is there anything in particular you would do or not do? Anyway, take care of yourselves. I see you again next week. Peace out and binge another one.